In a fantasy village, people say the whole town hates one man. The townspeople live in peace while a little one plays happily with their mother. That is until a certain person walks by with dark energy, instantly changing the mood for everyone there. Even if he doesn't seem dangerous, it's just smart not to look at him. After all, it's perfectly normal to talk about the corpse scraper. In this world, nobody likes a corpse scraper. Sometime later, the boy finds his way to a shop that sells all sorts of things. As soon as he walks in and scares everyone, the shopkeeper asks the boy what he wants. Sure enough, the customers all head for the door. Without a care in the world, the boy sets his bag on the table and dumps out everything he's there to sell. But for the shopkeeper, hauling a pile of scraps is a terrible thing. For someone like him, 3 copper coins were enough, even though it was just 20% of what others would pay. The boy shouts that he won't accept this robbery, but the shopkeeper just laughs and tells him he's nothing more than a trash collector. In this world, there are terrifying monsters that threaten to end our lives. So, folks who earn their keep by hunting these beasts are known as adventurers. Every day, brave explorers hunt down dangerous beasts just to find rare, top-quality treasures. When they beat their enemies, they grow stronger, and just one step up in power can make all the difference. In this world where power depends entirely on your level number, our hero Allah was terribly unlucky, stuck at level 1 for far too long. Later, at a market nearby, the boy asked the baker for bread, and the man, full of happy energy, handed it over and said he had saved some just for him. Even so, the moment came to pay, and he was worried because his money was gone again. Then the baker spoke up, telling the boy it was time to stop wandering and offering him a warm smile, as if to say there was something much better waiting for him. But the hero knows it's no use, since everyone already calls him a grave robber. From the start, the boy had always dreamed of becoming an adventurer, but once he finally did, he discovered that a terrible curse had been placed on him. Since then, he hasn't been able to learn by fighting, so he can never get stronger. When the boy finally beat the slime, a message popped up telling him he hadn't gotten any experience points. So he grew desperate to get stronger, and his first step was to keep hunting down monsters. The hero kept seeing messages that he'd never level up, and after fighting with the dream of growing stronger, he finally accepted his fate and ran out of money. Eventually, he didn't even notice how he started picking the bones off monsters that other heroes had slain, earning him the saddest title of all, Corpse Scraper. Because loot from weak monsters is worthless, the only way to survive is to find treasures from dangerous ones. But right as he was enjoying his bread, a group of people bumped into him and knocked his last meal to the ground. Then one of them stepped on his food just to remind the boy he was trash in their society, a cruel act that the crowd accepted without a second thought. The name Corpse Scavenger had spread through the city, and everyone hated Alka so much that he could barely find a normal job. But the truth was, he only wanted to chase his dream. No matter how much people hated him, if he stopped gathering dead bodies, he would just starve to death. So, deep inside the goblin's dark lair, the hero hopes to find corpses that he can sell for a few coins. Suddenly, as he moves along the path, a rotting scent hits him that is worlds away from anything normal. And to his shock, right before his eyes, the shape shifts into a dragon's body that must be a level 200 monster. Anyway, Alka reasons that now isn't the time to worry about it, because if this is dragon hide, the price will be at least 10 times higher than the rest, and since all the valuable pieces are already gone, all that's left is a smelly pouch. This stinky organ from a monster is so foul that nobody dares to open the pouch, but as the hero rummages through it, they suddenly realize something is hiding inside. When he slices it open with his knife, a nearly complete suit of armor appears, leaving Alka shocked and causing dark energy to pulse out as he gets closer. So he realizes he can't handle this right now. But a strange voice tells the boy to put on the armor, and since he's all alone, he quickly realizes the voice must be coming from the suit itself. No matter what it is, that armor is definitely dangerous. The boy gets ready to sprint. But right now, he's in trouble because a huge crowd of goblins has shown up. Already feeling terrible about what's happening, the hero tries to guess when the monster showed up, only to realize too late that he messed up by dropping his guard while scavenging. Right now, they're all level 1 like him, but the hero doesn't have any good gear. Besides being outnumbered, Allah is sure he's going to get killed. The very first strike knocks the sword right out of our hero's hand. With a look of pure fear on his face, he realizes this is the moment. He stares at the monsters blocking his path, sure that this is the end. So it is in this awful spot that his sad life will finally end. All of the hero's life rushes through his mind right now. Before he gives up and accepts his fate, the voice calls out to him once more. Now the energy burns hotter than ever, and the hero knows the armor is about to swallow him whole. So instead of letting goblins eat him or just hoping for the best, he decides to take the offer. In the end, living with the monsters is a whole lot safer than letting them eat you. Once he agreed to wear it, they finished signing the papers and started the emergency fix. Even though Allah didn't move, the dark energy rushed toward him, and suddenly everything happened, leaving the monsters staring with pure fear on their faces. That's because the Abyss armor was finally put on. This is the Abyss armor, and when the hero asks for a friend, it just says, "I obey my owner's orders." So, Allah decides to trust its words for now. As two goblins close in, the hero spots his old, razor-sharp sword again. In the end, they're just as weak as the main character, so with his sword, he can easily cut them down. And in a shocking twist, the beast's power gathers into a single point before jumping from its dead form and rushing into Allah. Other goblins rush in to attack our hero, but he knocks them down instantly as he feels his body grow light. Once more, the monster's power surges back into the hero. His body feels so light now that it's almost like he isn't really himself anymore. With power like this, Alka bursts forward and unleashes every ounce of his strength to wipe out the remaining monsters on the battlefield in a split second. And then the fighting stops, leaving him in peace as he finally sees he is still completely okay. Alka couldn't believe his eyes when he saw a level 1 take down 5 goblins all at once. But now, those mysterious lights that rush into him are said to be power boosts. To the hero's shock, the message revealed that the levels had been absorbed, boosting Alka to level 6. As you stand before the dragon and the pile of dead monsters, the system beeps to tell you that you've absorbed their levels and confirmed your own new rank. With his power drained, the adventurer tries to figure out what it really means to be only level 6. Alka is lost because his body was never meant to learn new things. But the owner of the Abyss armor has a special trick called level absorption, which lets him steal the strength from defeated foes, so you can see him standing there as a level 6 adventurer with a full bar of new power. As his level climbed, he truly drank in the power of the monsters he had just defeated. It all made sense the second he felt the energy rush into his chest. So Alka couldn't stop himself from bursting into tears right then and there. As he wiped away his tears, he turned his attention to the special gift he had just earned, the power to level up. In reality, that boy had been truly desperate. Suddenly, his body moved with surprising freedom. And all of this happened after he only climbed 5 levels, a big jump that even changed the way he walked. But when he notices the armor he's wearing came from inside that dead dragon, he suddenly realizes he smells pretty bad. But anyway, it was this armor that let him get stronger, and right now the hero stops because he just thought of something cool. This realization hits him hard. Wiping out every monster on this floor will actually make him stronger. And since this armor shows no signs of hurting him, he's going to wear it and hunt down all the goblins without a second thought. Suddenly, a goblin bursts out to fight without anyone even needing to look for it. However, the shadow reveals that it isn't like the others. Alpha trembles at the mere thought of being there, for this is a place where only weak goblins should rove. He turns even paler when he realizes the goblin in front of him is a legendary one, level 35. Since this dragon was the refuge's leader, the hero wonders why such a powerful monster is there, and soon realizes that the other beasts were drawn to the area by the smell of its dead body. Exactly by the smell of rotting decay. The armor system warns that fighting this level 35 enemy is too dangerous. Knowing escape is impossible, the protagonist dodges the first strike, sweating coal from sheer worry. Next, he fights off the second blow, but struggles so hard that he is slammed against the wall, his back crashing onto the sharp rocks. Even though Alka can grow stronger, this is still his biggest trouble today. In the end, fighting this enemy means he'll die just as powerless anyway. Alka screams in frustration because for a moment, he thought he had become strong. But in truth, the boy was still just as pitiful as before. Against all odds, the hero slips away down a narrow alley and now scrambles to find a way out of the dark cave. The exit is blocked by a legendary goblin and his minions, so Alpa decides that the weak should just hide and wait for the storm to pass. Despite having a plan ready, a level 1 goblin suddenly jumps in front of him. So it went wild with electricity to smash our hero. But since it isn't anything like its leader, Alka just grabs the monster by the head and smashes it into the wall. In this world, power levels are strict rules that even monsters must follow, knowing when to run away to stay safe. One more win sends the armored hero from level 6 up to 7. For some reason, Allah had forgotten that he could now move forward with ease and maybe even beat the leader. A few minutes ago, he nearly died, but now the hero knows he can crush his enemies and live. So instead of taking the main path, the hero sneaks past the big boss, picks off smaller goblins along the way, and keeps clearing out the dungeon whenever he can until the experience from the fallen bodies starts leveling up Allah. Soon, the hero realizes that the stronger ones truly win because they are on a completely different level. It's a place where the strong crush the weak, just like they did to Alka not long ago. After battling in the dungeon for a while and reaching level 15, the system suddenly told Allah to check out a cave ahead, so the hero rushed inside and instantly found a massive pile of gold. To make sense of this, Allah thinks the pile must be every single piece of treasure left behind by adventurers the goblins defeated. Since he's already there, the hero feels he should grab something valuable to take. Suddenly, a chest catches his eye, and when he looks closer, he sees it's packed with healing potions that make him even more excited. So the hero grabs them and runs off, just in case he needs them when the fight starts. The armor speaks up, confirms it understands, and assures that there's now plenty of space to hold them. Just as Allah tried to make sense of it, a light flickered on his armor to make room for vials, and since it was so handy, the hero thanked the system for thinking ahead. Our hero wants the gold, but carrying it would just make fighting harder. For now, Alka just wants to get out of there alive. Besides, the hero has gotten much stronger, and if he escapes, he can live well just by selling the monster's leftovers. So he turns to go, but strange sounds suddenly stop him in his tracks. The protagonist feels scared and curious because the sounds they hear sound exactly like voices. Even though he was worried, he ran straight to a box and then saw a human girl trapped by the monsters right behind it. Seeing her cry so hard, the protagonist didn't hesitate to rush over, cut her ropes, and save her, much to the relief of both, after which Mill from Rakel thanked him from the bottom of her heart. Not wanting to seem rude, the girl gently asks if she can learn his name. After a brief pause, the hero introduces himself as Alka, confirming with a nod that he is indeed the notorious corpse-ripping gnome known throughout the city. Mill had also heard whispers that the main character was a terrible person, but she's delighted to find out he isn't anything like the rumors say. In the end, it was he who pulled her from that deadly cave, proving she never saw him as a worthless scavenger, but as her true hero. For all this time, Allah dreamed of being an adventurer who helped others. So he asks the girl to follow him, promising to bring her back to the village himself, and reassures her that nothing was wrong because she was just carrying a tiny piece of happiness in her heart. As he travels, the hero starts acting out a role that isn't his own. He tells Mill to hide behind the rocks for a minute. The air itself feels like it's crawling with goblins, and as Allah gets a closer look, she realizes they aren't just a few stragglers, but a whole swarm of about 20. Yet since every single one of these level 1 pests is nothing compared to her level 15 strength, she just grins and decides to drain them all for her own power. The monsters dash toward him, but he swings his sword with no mercy, cutting them all down and charging at the last few to send them to the same end. So the levels sink back down with a perfect success. Thanks to a special draining power, the hero's attacks are growing stronger and stronger with every strike. That's why after ducking a hit from one goblin, the others trailing behind couldn't even get a scratch on Alka. With a sudden leap, he flew several meters away, used his height to strike them down, and absorb their power in the process. It turns out the hero actually started having fun hunting monsters. But those scared faces on their faces don't stop the workers from cutting them down. Even though the goblins have lost many of their monsters, they won't stop fighting until they kill the protagonist, no matter what it takes. Just like with his friends, he runs straight at them and slashes them all apart with his sword. After all that destruction, the system suddenly announces that a new level has been unlocked. The armor's master has reached level 35 and is now powerful. Mel is so terrified by all this that she asks if they can leave, but the protagonist says they can't yet. After all, with so much blood spilled, others must already be drawn here. And right there, the strongest one is finally arriving. It's the same legendary goblin Alka will face again in a rematch. Facing the monster, the hero calmly says he knew this day would come, and the legendary goblin lets out a terrifying roar to show how big and scary it is. The hero and the monster are both stuck at level 35 right now, so he's not the scared kid who used to run from fights anymore. The goblin boss lunges forward to attack, but the boy retorts that underestimating him is a fatal error, then slashes the monster's belly hard enough to knock it to its knees. As he stands surrounded by his team, he quickly counts and realizes there are about 10 of them in total. The hero knows that as long as the legendary goblin lives, he has no time to fight these weak minions. He yells out to the girl he saved, asking her to toss him a knife. With no way to tell them apart, Mill just flings the whole bundle into the air. Sure enough, they drop from their perch right toward our hero. Before that, she keeps apologizing, but the protagonist just tells her it's all good. After all, with his quick reflexes, he snatches up 2 of them and tosses the monsters aside as if they were nothing. He also catches people falling from the sky and hurls them at the monsters. Over and over again, the hero sticks to their plan of gathering knives and tossing them. Then, holding a few of them, he remarks that it must truly be bad luck. He thanked everyone who tried to save the boss. In the end, the famous goblin will take a beating because there's a huge gap in power between them. After our hero defeats all the tiny monsters and climbs to level 45, feeling better from the last fight, the boss screams and lunges at Alka from behind, but by now it cannot hurt her anymore. At least that's what the hero thought, but his careless block was nearly sliced right in half. He doesn't get how this is going on, yet he keeps getting pushed around. The hero stares in shock, realizing the monster isn't weakened at all because a bracelet is pumping him with super strength. You can spot the glowing energy of this magical item from far away. Normally, levels don't come easy, which is why adventurers hunt for magic items to make them as strong as they can. But since the boy didn't know the monster had a plan too, he just had to smash that bracelet first before dodging the attack without wasting a single second. Even though he knows it won't be easy, he gives it his all because from now on, he won't hold back anymore. Then, he will gather all the strength he has to finally wipe out that monster. Both sides throw their hardest hits. Yet the hero keeps pressing forward until the monster is forced to plant its feet and brace against the earth. Even so, he retaliates to the sideways strike that sends the hero flying. And though Alka feels frustrated at first, he remembers the knives he used to defeat the smaller ones. So he quickly grabs them to fight the big guy who is guarding himself with a giant cleaver. Still, he throws one more, forcing the monster to defend itself for a second time. Now that the beast was distracted, the hero slipped in for a close look at its face. Even though the goblin could move fast, the hero threw a knife to slip around its side and grab the bracelet he had really wanted all along. So, the moment the enhancement shatters on the floor, the hero steps up to face the monster head-on. Showing he's the better one, he shouts that it's time to go fishing for the little ones. When the boy first stepped into that legendary goblin's lair, he was too scared and weak to stand up to it. But now the tables have turned completely between them. So the hero chimes in that it's his turn to scare them and asks if a monster is ready. The monster lets out a mighty roar without changing a thing. The protagonist sprints forward to smash the goblin's defenses, sending the monster crashing into the wall with injuries, then slowly walks up to ask what it feels like to be weak. He slashes at the monster, shouting that he's only fighting to stay alive and begging it not to hold a grudge. Finally, the hero manages to take the goblin's weapon away and defeat the enemy, who seemed so strong at first. All the insults calling him a grave robber will vanish into nothingness along with his cowardly side. Even on one arm, the beast lunges with a mighty punch that smashes straight into the hero's blade and ends the fight in a split second. And since he was the one who made the boy stronger, he thanked him, and from that very body, a burst of light poured into the hero's armor. This time, the owner's power was confirmed to have reached the incredible level of 80. With no fear left, Allah tells Mill to step out, and she is even impressed by the hero's feat. In the end, he will be unstoppable right here. For some strange reason, the hero felt no excitement at all. No matter what happens, he pulls the legendary goblin's rare tusk from its jaw, and Allah can't believe he's finally holding such a treasure. Mel just asked him to store everything in that small bag, since it was already packed with every coin that would fit along with pieces of rare treasures. Alka felt bad for making the girl carry all that stuff, but the girl just waved it off with a smile, saying it was no trouble at all. She asks what they'll do now that they've gathered everything. Now that the hero has no need to rush back to the village, Allah worries that letting the goblins alone might let them kidnap another citizen. So the hero asks the girl if she'd like to travel with him to a far-off place. He explained that he's trying to stop the monsters from kidnapping anyone else. For a while, the hero set out to hunt down every goblin hiding in that cave. Eventually, they made their way back to the village. Even though Allah has hit level 100, he's actually starting to worry. But by the time he hits level 100, he is guaranteed to take down most of the monsters there. So, the hero can finally call himself a real adventurer. Mill asks the boy what he means, since she has never heard of an adventurer with 3 digits in this village. Alka isn't just one of the adventurers anymore. She has become the very best among them. Alka, on his side, doesn't seem to believe it. But because he fought only to stay alive, he never even glanced at the others. Mill was shocked at first when he realized he could gain power from the enemies he had defeated. But now she knows for certain that he will grow even stronger. She promises to stand right beside the boy and cheer him on. So they keep chatting calmly until a bunch of adventurers shows up and starts yelling at the corpse scraper. Alpha knows Jariq is the one leading the group, so he asks about the black armor while everyone laughs, guessing Allah bought it to make up for being unable to level up. Anyway, Der warns that fancy items won't change a thing. In the end, level 1 just can't make up for its lack of power with that kind of trick. Just as he started talking, the hero snapped, told him to shut up, jumped out with a knife, and said he was already tired. So, he asked again with a polite face that was full of terrifying fear. Yuri feels scared when he sees this threat coming his way. But remembering who he's up against, he snaps and kicks the protagonist back. After all, in his eyes, Alka was just a grave robber who shouldn't have spoken so loudly. But the moment he lunged in with all his might, the hero quickly pinned him to the ground. With his friends shaking in terror, the hero dared to ask who would go next, but no one dared to speak. Kuri is totally confused because a level 20 boss shouldn't be losing to a level 1. The hero jokes that the guy doesn't even have a quarter of the hero's power. Everyone quickly opens the system to check just how powerful the corpse scraper really is. The adventurers froze in shock, staring at something that defied all odds, yet undeniably stood before them. It was true that the protagonist stood at level 100, making him a monster in the eyes of everyone. Allah laughs at the joke that people call him a monster now, even though they used to just call him a trash picker. But he just wants to be a normal adventurer, yet no one listens since seeing Alka's real power makes the whole group run away in a flash. But Mills saw that clearly because the hero wasn't the same person anymore. That's why she smiles and tells him to trust in himself. Soon, she grabs the boy's hand to rush the news to everyone in the city. A short while later, at the material shop, the old man snapped at the boy to ask what he wanted. Just like every time before, the main character says he wants to sell. Since he's seen as a grave robber, the old man insists that fancy presentation doesn't matter because the material itself is worthless. But our hero held the winning hand, asking if the things he brought were just trash too. When he showed it off, even the grumpy vendor was shocked to see it was a legendary goblin tusk. Because the material is so rare, the vendor asks the boy where he found it. And he told the crowd that he had beaten the monster. But the old man isn't buying it. Alpha calls Mill, who then clears the table with everything they brought back from the last trip. So the hero asks the old man, "Are you going to buy it or not?" After all, he's no longer bothered by selling his things to someone else. Even though the old man is rude, he spots the quality goods and agrees to buy them all. So the hero gives him a fake smile and asks for a fair price. Later, he headed to the baker's stall in the bustling city food market. Because he always treated him well, he handed the old man a bag of gold, leaving him completely baffled. Alka shares how he finally beat a tough monster and is so glad he didn't quit. So, the old man doesn't hesitate to hum the boy, saying he's so glad he didn't give up. Just then, a deafening uproar erupted right at the village entrance. So the hero tells you to talk later, right as a pack of white werewolves tears everything to pieces at the city gates. And among them, one is getting ready to turn a girl into his afternoon snack. Just when things look darkest, the hero steps in to rescue the girl, and she walks away safe and sound. Allah can't help but think the monster's acting very weird right in front of him. But he says that even if the werewolves are trying to attack the village, they are a day late. In the end, the hero stands guard at the gates, and no one will ever get past him. These level 8 werewolf monsters should have been dead long before they could even reach the village. But Sid Jared and the others who were tasked with handling it fled the scene. Now the hero finally sees the truth of what's happening. He realizes he must act fast, so when a werewolf lunges, he easily dodges it and knows his new power lets him take down any number of them. But the scary part is that not everyone is looking at him, but at the people the boy can't save all at once. And if he doesn't stop it soon, innocent people will be killed. A common man grows wildly desperate as he stands just one step away from being eaten alive. Just then, the hero steps in, takes a hit to save him, and finally brings the beast down. The boy asks if the man is hurt, and when the man says yes, the citizen realizes it's the corpse scraper who has arrived. But instead of losing his temper, the hero calmly moves on to fix the bigger problem. Deep down, he still knows he is the body cleaner that everyone hates. So even though that's not a good excuse to quit, everyone sees that while the hero works his job, Alka is the one actually saving everyone. With the final monster ahead, the hero steps forward, knowing that once it falls, the battle is truly over. With a single blow, he brings the final opponent down. Using his power-absorbing skill, the armored warrior climbed his level all the way up to 172. But the hero is worried because his count of 10 werewolves doesn't match the only 7 extra ones he found. If he had finished all of them, his level should have jumped up by 80. So that means there's still one more hiding somewhere. From the roof of the house, the final monster gets ready to strike the little girl. The moment Alpa sees this, the monster just ignores him and leaps right onto his target. Alla panics because despite leveling up so much, he's still afraid he might not be able to save a life. The girl looks up to see a werewolf only a few meters away, right before everything goes wrong. Alla refuses to give up and decides to throw his single sword, knowing he only gets one shot to make it. Even so, he'll throw his hardest just to make sure he hits the target. The monster lunges fast toward the girl, but the protagonist's sword strikes the werewolf, knocking it flying and saving the girl from harm. In this way, the little girl also understands she is standing right in front of the corpse scraper. Since he proves he saved her, the girl drops all her doubts to thank him, which makes our hero feel great about helping her. But the friendly mood vanishes as the invasion ends and people start walking around. Among the crowd, one person stands out by saying they really need to talk to Alka. Right then, he's already dreading the angry mob of citizens who feel he's done them a favor. Just as someone else steps up to talk, the hero declares he's leaving because he isn't welcome there. But then, to his surprise, they asked him to wait just a second and simply said, "Thank you," because he had made everyone there safe. The boy from before thought the main character was being silly. Alla risks his own body to save the boy, a gesture that leaves the protagonist stunned, and soon the rescued girl's mother humbly bows her head in gratitude. In this moment, the main character feels so embarrassed, he politely asks the mom to stand up. Then he says he did this only because he wanted to save everyone. The hero knows he can't escape his history as a grave robber. Now that he holds the power to shield others, Alla declares he will take on the life of an adventurer dedicated to helping people. The boy smiles and says they should keep an eye on him for now, which is all he asks. That day he was just a humble corpse cleaner, but in the end he rose up to become the hero who saved the village. The following morning, the whole town of people started walking around normally again. And when they spotted our hero, Mill rushed over to him with great joy. Because of that, Alla opens her arms and welcomes her. The girl is puzzled that the boy has no armor on. But on that matter, the hero just snaps his fingers because he's figured out how to put it on and take it off in a flash. And the girl thinks it's pretty amazing. Thanks to this armor found in the goblin's nest, the protagonist feels lucky and ready to become a great adventurer. Even so, he can't stop wondering why a dead dragon was found in that spot. For now, it doesn't matter. In another spot, someone yells for them to run fast. They're standing right in the goblin's lair, tucked beside the dragon that everyone has been talking about. Tyr screams for everyone to get away from that thing, and his teammates bolt as fast as they can. But then in a split second, a pool of blood spills out and instantly shows exactly what will happen to the two of them. He shouts for answers, demanding to know who the strange being in front of him really is. However, I just stared at him with a blank face until I suddenly unleashed a massive bolt of electricity. The adventurer laughs in despair, knowing this moment marks the end of his journey. As soon as the energy beam is ready, the mysterious monster unleashes it with full force and no mercy. A blast so powerful that our hero can hear it from far away and starts to wonder if he is imagining things. Once upon a time, Jerry and his friends were hot on the trail of a one-eyed troll. With the monster already hurt, the leader shouted for his friends to make sure it never ran away. Seeing that it was a golden chance, the two quickly agreed. As the chase went on, the monster found itself crashing right into the goblin's dark cave. Then Jerry explains that since they abandoned the mission to stop the werewolves, they got hit with a huge fine. And that is exactly why they cannot let such an easy catch slip away. As the monster pulls itself inside, shaking from tiredness, it suddenly catches a scent that pulls it toward the center of the cave. And as soon as it got there, the stench of the rotting dragon's body pulled it right in. For some strange reason, the scent tasted delicious to it instead of foul like it did to everyone else. Walking with his group, Jerry thought the prize was just around the corner before something unexpected suddenly appeared. The rotting dragon smell is so bad that it makes almost everyone want to throw up. But the white-haired man notices something even more important than that. And right in the middle of the dragon's body lies the troll they've been chasing, tearing apart all the flesh like a wild beast. But the worst part is that the second man in the group starts to notice something feels very wrong. Suddenly, something burst out of the monster, and Jerry knew right away that things weren't going to end well. As he follows that sound, he realizes he wasn't imagining it because there's a real strange feeling in the air. It feels like all of this magic is rising right from right here. Just then, our hero hears a new sound that is even louder than the last, making him very serious. As he walks deeper into the cave where the stench of rot grows stronger, he finally finds the dragon's body. But when he reached the place where he had bought the armor, he found the troll he had met had changed and was killing Jar's group. Right after spotting the new guest, she quickly sent the white-haired boy's companion away so she could focus entirely on the protagonist's look. Even Olive freezes in shock, for this monster is unlike anything he has ever seen before. Even so, now that he's hit level 180, he's convinced there's no way he can lose. Before taking any action, he will crush it with one perfectly timed strike. But the armor warns that we are too weak to fight those monsters, so Alka hesitates just long enough for one to spot an opening and strike. Right now, every piece of armor says your only choice is to move quickly out of the way. But the hero had already taken such a heavy blow that he was slammed face down to the ground, covered in wounds. To truly know what he's up against, the hero takes a moment to look up the monster's details. And the moment he did that, the system's prediction came true because he had found a broken version of level 200. Suddenly, the armor shouts a warning that a blast of power is gathering inside the troll's head. So you should dash away right now. But our hero is stuck and can't take a step. As the monster prepares its deadly strike, the warnings keep coming back, one after another. Alpa throws every ounce of his strength into moving because if he does nothing right now, that monster will kill him next. With only 10 seconds left before the attack, the frozen boy can't move and starts to imagine the worst possible outcome. Even so, he fights to get down on one knee, using his sword for support. With barely a second left, Alka manages to push herself up. No matter what happens, the monster doesn't wait for him to stand up to fire its energy blast. That impact slammed the protagonist hard against the wall, leaving him barely conscious from the pain. Fortunately, the monster saw the boy lying defeated and chose to walk away. After a while, Alka finally wakes up and is confused about everything that just happened. The armor's warning that its owner was thought dead makes Alka feel so lucky to be alive. It's a hard truth that his body is badly hurt, so he really needs to drink healing potions. Thinking back to the goblin potions he had taken, the boy downed the first one, and since he could already move, Alka told him to thank them. So now he has to sprint after the monster as fast as he can, because he knows it's heading straight for Rakel Village next. But just before he leaves, a voice whispers to him, calling him a corpse scavenger. When you look closer, you'll see that Jerry is still alive, even though he's in terrible shape. The boy asks for the healing drinks with no shame at all. After all, he figures that something like this won't make any difference to trash like him. The boy warns that the potions will make him run away faster than anyone thought, so the village gets more angry and shouts for them to hurry up. Jerry coughs up blood and keeps going, even as his body breaks down and his mind starts to spin. Suddenly, the boy decides to try it, but he stops to ask the Abyss armor if it will change anything. The system warns that the boy's wounds are fatal and that he will inevitably die after a few more minutes of intense pain. The hero says one last thing before anything else once everything is clear. He's wondering if the level drain can pull the life energy right out of a person. As the system confirmed it was possible, Alka gently told the boy that he could no longer be saved. Deep inside, he already knew the truth, yet he just wanted to run from the hurt by building a cozy lie. Alka replies that she can do one thing to take away his pain. Jerry already knows exactly what he wants to do, so he just asks to be put down on the spot, with no second thoughts at all. In this moment, Alka admits he never liked the guy, but he also feels sad to have to say goodbye this way. No matter what happens, he follows through on his promise, and becomes level 200 by taking on Jar's powers. Eventually, the monster crept through the woods and found the edge of the village. It clearly steers itself by the simple instinct that people are there. Just then, the hero faces the monster and slashes its arm, causing it to scream in agony. Without wasting a second, our hero dashes forward at top speed and, without wanting to offend anyone, declares that he can't lose to it anymore. Because of that, he attacks again, but the monster now protects itself in a smart way. No matter what happens, Allah keeps his sword aimed at the beast and warns the troll that next time, he must be sure to kill his enemy. After all, since he hasn't done it yet, the two are evenly matched, so Allah refuses to wait any longer and calls him a fight right now. First, our hero tells him to keep his eyes open. In the end, even though he hated Jerry, he still had to pull the trigger on a friend with his own hands, making him angrier than he'd ever been before. The monster wastes no time, lunges forward with a confident grin, and tries to strike from below. Our hero grabs the monster's shoulder to pull himself up and strikes the beast on its back right before it can protect itself. Even though the plan worked, the wing turned out to be tougher than we thought. Suddenly, the monster began gathering power around its eye. Now the hero made sure that monster would never do that again. But with great cleverness, the beast turned the hero's own move against him to land a powerful kick. The monster grabbed a whole tree to hit the helpless hero, flinging him so hard he crashed through several trees before slamming into a rocky wall. Even with the gap closed, the boy and his opponent are still perfectly balanced, so he gets no easy win. While the beast has been relying on its flint all along, Alka drinks another potion right now, giving him his greatest edge. He gets so mad he shouts that it's not finished and rushes straight at the monster's charging beam. Unfortunately, the system sadly realizes that once we get too close, there's no stopping what is about to happen. So, he switched his move, slipped away at the last second, and then lunged forward with his sword, pouring all his strength into the strike. Then, even though the troll tried to use its hard wings as a shield, Allah's furious hit sliced them clean in half. With the monster distracted by the damage, the hero thinks he's finally made progress, but then the beast suddenly looks away from him. As the village's reflection becomes clear in the troll's eye, our hero grows very worried, but the monster simply boosts its legs and leaps into the air toward where the most people are gathered. Because it all happened too fast, the protagonist simply couldn't react in time. Knowing the monster wanted to destroy the village, the boy rushed with all his might to catch it before something terrible happened. Suddenly, the shadow of the monster loomed over the whole village. Before they could even figure out what it was, a huge explosion went off and left everyone trembling in fear. From that blast came the fallen version, roaring to show it was still in charge. Allah keeps chasing it, but fear takes over when he sees the creature has already slipped into the village. True to its violent nature, the monster begins tearing everything to pieces right before its eyes. Everyone tries to run for their lives while begging for help. Once more, the troll fires up its energy beam, making the hero wonder if this is just a silly joke. Sadly, the beam hits its mark and blasts several houses apart, but the hero jumps from a roof and runs straight at the monster with pure fury. The beast swings its arm to shield its eye and tries once more to ignore the fighter. But the hero won't let that stand, so he leaps over the gap, cuts off their escape path, and strikes their weakened defenses once more. For a brief moment, they clash back and forth, but the hero defeats his foe, only to ready another blow and warn that the battle isn't done, for he must save the village at any cost. The troll squeezes every bit of power into its eye and blasts another beam of energy at lightning speed. With no chance to defend himself, the monster grabs the protagonist from above and punches him down, sending him crashing into the village ground in a huge explosion so the beast can finally break free and run again. But the hero won't let this defeat him. Since he's the only one strong enough to fight the monster, he forces himself to stand. With a serious look on his face, he promised to fix this problem once and for all. Later, Baker runs into the monster and hears its scary roars trying to scare him. But he doesn't get afraid and keeps walking right past it. By the time it's over, the old man knows that even if he runs, the whole village will catch him. So he just sits there waiting for a hero to come along and save him. Since he was sure it would work, his faith didn't let him down, and the protagonist made it there just in time to stop the disaster. Allah chuckled with a playful grin and said that he was far too clumsy to really be the so-called hero. But because the boy saved him, that's what really counts. Even though Alka and the monster are now equal, he still admits he isn't sure if he can actually win. So the baker grabs a loaf from the box, tells the boy to stop being so down, tosses him a slice, and calls it a gift. Peering closely, you can see this is the very last loaf of bread left from when the boy was still a dead scavenger. The old man says things aren't as bad back then, but the boy takes a bite and admits the bread tastes awful. But since this truly was a reason to act, it gave him the courage to move forward. The hero held his sword to the monster's chest, telling it the fight was about to start right then. This time, our hero steps forward first, using a clever trick to pretend he's aiming for the eye, creating an opening right where the arm will be. But to the hero's shock, the monster grabs him with its other hand. Without a second thought, the beast flings the boy flying past the rooftops until he crashes down on the ground. In this moment, Allah grows desperate and scrambles to find a way to hurt it. Suddenly, he hears a scared noise, turns around, and sees a little child right there. Allah screams for the little one to run away right now. But because the kid is having a panic attack, he is frozen in place. And to make matters even worse, the monster instinctively picks on the weakest person. In a flash, the monster leaps at the child with a scary roar and a deadly charge, but right at the last moment, the hero steps in to take the full blow so the frightened kid can run away safely. Unfortunately, the hero can't win because even his strongest attacks aren't enough. Once more, Allah pleads with the child to run, his voice filled with desperate sincerity because he knows he can't go on. Just as the monster readies its final strike, the hero whispers to the child to find a little bit of courage. Even though his body shakes with fear, the boy stands up, promises to try, and runs at full speed without looking back, leaving the protagonist alone with a satisfied monster, while the system warns that the enemy has charged its power and they must run immediately. But the hero apologizes to the Abyss armor, admitting that this time, the hero won't be able to follow the advice. The monster's eye instantly blasts a laser that strikes the hero and smashes through the houses and everything in its way. In the end, the hero stood unharmed because he used his sword to protect himself. But the power was so strong it crushed him. Even though they stand on the same level, their skill gap is just too wide to close. With the hero badly hurt from the damage, he drinks a potion. But unfortunately, he realizes he must have dropped it when he was thrown against the houses. So naturally, he has to chase it down. Slowly, the hero's power slips away until the boy falls into a dark pit, finally realizing he couldn't save his village. Yet, deep inside, he still holds on to hope and keeps fighting. So Alka desperately prays in his mind for someone to come to his rescue. Because of his prayers, the final potion was suddenly poured into his mouth, and when he woke up, he found a girl standing right in front of him. Because of that, the protagonist jumps right up and demands to know who this person is. And without a hint of shame, she introduces herself as Leela, a simple girl from the village who wants to protect the home she loves. Just as the two were enjoying a friendly chat, a scary noise from the monster broke the peace, reminding the hero that he had to rush back to the fight right away. Before that, she notes that she has been watching the hero fight hard to keep the village safe for quite a while. She feels so happy knowing he still cares for this place, but then she holds out her hand and urges him to run away with her right now. The hero shakes his head, knowing he is the only one who can stop the monster. But the girl shouts that he must run, because if he loses the fight there, she knows there won't be anyone left to save the whole village. Even while everything falls apart, Leela insists that the hero must not fight that monster until his wound is healed. Even though Alpa doesn't want to admit it, he knows she's right and that he'll need time to get his strength back before he can fight again. Suddenly, the monster they talked about drops from the sky to face them head-on. Then the girl quickly reaches out, and with no other choice, the protagonist grabs her hand and runs to safety until he feels strong enough to keep going. They dash down a dark alley while the hero asks how she knows his name. Even as she keeps running, the girl mentions that Allah is quite famous around here. He asks if it's because he's a corpse scavenger, which is true, but Leela insists she knows him because she thinks of him as a hero. Leela told us she was the one there when the werewolves attacked the village, which is why she is so sure the protagonist can do it. She knows that if she holds the reins, he will definitely fix whatever trouble has come up. Seeing the hope in her eyes, Allah clenched his fist and vowed to save the village, giving Leela exactly what she needed to hear. Suddenly, a strange noise cuts through the air and turns out to be a human scream. When they arrived, they saw a bandit snatching a girl and dragging her away from the city. On top of that, the man felt thankful to the monster because no one was stopping them from doing whatever they wanted, turning it into a perfect chance to make some easy cash. The protagonist watches the whole scene with disgust as opportunists scramble to take what they want. Leela reacts the same way until something shocks her, and just as the hero tries to speak to her, he sees that someone spotted them while they were hiding, grabbed her, and turned the girl he just saved into a hostage for the bandits. The bald man speaks with a grave tone, telling the boy that to keep the girl safe, he must do exactly as he says. The hero agrees to step closer to the carriage right in front, and when he's kicked into position, the bandit leader becomes completely confused. He remembered they didn't need another man, but then he spotted a girl being held, and a greedy smile spread across his face as he realized she would be worth a fortune. Seeing such a disgusting attitude, the protagonist wonders if the leader has lost all sense of right and wrong. But regarding that, the bandit doesn't even hesitate before replying that he won't. The truth is they came to steal from this village, so the bandit tells the hero he's lucky they aren't the ones killing the people, which makes the hero so angry he wants to kill them right now. The leader sees the angry look on his face and steps right up to ask if he is an adventurer. Then he whispers in Allah's ear that being powerful means nothing if you can't do anything, which feels like a shame. No matter what happens, everyone gets ready to go, and the leader tells the bald man to look after the girl. After all, if the adventurer tries to get involved in any way, it will cause a big problem. Alpha listened to the whole talk, knowing he only needed a single moment of carelessness to slip through. So he waited for the perfect moment to rescue her, and just when it came, a man with a knife stepped out behind the kidnapper. Quickly, the bandit shouts a warning to his partner, but it turns out the person he's talking to is actually Mill, and since the bald guy was already expecting the attack, he dodges so smoothly he never loses his grip on the hostage, leaving the girl to fall face first onto the ground. The bald man boasts that she can't beat him and should know the difference in their strength, but she calmly says it's okay, which leaves him confused because another person is already stepping up to help right behind him. Before the big guy could even blink, Alcott stepped right in and landed a hard punch full of adventurous strength right in his face. With this move, the bald guy gets knocked out, Leela is set free, and she lands right into the hero's arms. The bandit leader screams at his men to rush in and kill the hero before he can stop them. Everyone rushes to surround the boy. First, the bandit asks Allah if he is truly ready, warning that he won't hold back. Seeing the boy stay silent, the gunslinger decides that our hero must be scared. With no words left, and Allah is still silent, the bandits spring on him to end his life. Then the protagonist remembered what the ball guy had said before losing. He showed that knowing who held the power was the only way to tell if a fight was even worth starting. It was ironic that the bandit leader, who was now picking a fight with someone he couldn't beat, refused to follow the rules. Naturally, the moment he finished speaking, the protagonist began devouring everything around him. When only the leader remained among the bandits, he grew desperate because the pace was far too fast for any ordinary adventurer. Then the protagonist double-checked, since he was already strong enough at level 200. In this desperate final stand, the bandit screams and lunges forward with his sword drawn. The protagonist strikes the enemy down with a single blow, absorbing his power so that the armored hero hits the maximum human level of 250. After beating the bandit, the hero pauses to think about what he just heard. He asks if level 250 is the peak he can ever reach, and the system nods in agreement. At first, the hero had never seen anyone with such high levels, but he didn't believe there was a limit to what was possible. No matter how things turned out, once everything is settled, Leela leaps onto her rescuer to thank him for saving her life. But the hero refuses to take the credit, since saving the day with that potion earlier was just the smallest thing he could do to stay alive. No matter why it is, Leela stays happy because she sees Alka as her hero. Standing among the bodies of the bandits, and seeing all the attention he got, Allah refuses to accept the title because he still feels too young and inexperienced. If he let those bandits go, they would have gone on to attack another village. Alka explained that he reached for the sword because there was simply no better way to solve the problem. But Leela responds by saying he's actually right. When someone asks what she means, she repeats her words with even more force. For her, the only reason everyone is still alive is because the protagonist swung that sword. So she tells him to stand up tall and feel proud of who he is. With a warm smile, she promises to make sure Alka never feels small. After hearing everything, the hero thanked her, feeling a wave of relief that finally gave his confidence back. Just then, Mill showed up to say she'd safely gotten everyone out, and the gentle pat on the head she got made her heart swell with joy. She felt so glad she could help, because just watching while Alka took on everything just wasn't something she could do. So she reached out to the hero and begged him to fight right beside her until the very end. Now that the bandits are gone, he tells her they don't need to do anything else, which leaves her quite surprised. A few seconds later, as the monster tore everything apart, the hero shouted for everyone to run and hide as far away as possible. Now that you've reached level 250, the system is sad to see how easily you can crush enemy monsters. After pumping himself up, the hero is finally ready to jump back into the fight. Before they could even run, the monster they talked about fell from the sky, crashing into the walls and blowing a strong wind that knocked the girls around but left the protagonist standing firm. Either way, he says he's ready and asks them both to run since he's ending this now. So the girls agree and sprint away holding hands. Now standing alone against the monster, the hero apologizes for fleeing before, but vows to stop running and finally end this fight. The variant roars to show its power, but the hero stands so still he doesn't even twitch a finger. Instead of charging forward, he started with nothing, learning to hold a sword only after improving his strength until he could finally use it to protect those around him. Right now, the hero flashes back to the wolf fight, the death of Jerry, and the terrified villagers waiting to be saved while they fought for their own lives. Allah decides that it's time to keep swinging this sword and make everyone's dreams come true. With a vibe that no one could beat, the hero told the monster it should feel lucky to have finally grown to its full size. After all, the variant will be the first to feel the true strength of humanity inside its own body. With worry and rage filling its heart, the monster tightens its fists and rushes forward to end the adventurer once and for all. But now it bounces away instantly the second it tries to strike. Alpha tells the attacker that this trick won't work anymore, then punches him right in the chest. As the beast flies backward, he leaps on top of it to land another blow. This time, gravity was finally helping him out. Naturally, the hero's burst of power sends a giant cloud of dust shooting into the air. Then, the monster swirls energy around its eye to unleash its last trick. This time, the variant throws everything at the power of its light beam, and the system spots an energy surge far stronger than before. Instead of fleeing, the hero stands his ground and waits for the enemy to give up. With the fallen form right before him, The monster unleashes its strongest energy beam, and Alka steps up to meet that power head-on. For him, the beast's attacks don't matter because a protective barrier instantly forms to stop them. With a 50-level gap between them, Alan knows he can never lose. Amidst the rubble of a village that used to be peaceful, the two mighty figures stand facing each other. And true to its wild nature, the beast roars just as always, forcing itself upon the world. But when he sensed the protagonist's powerful presence, something inside him shifted and began to tremble with fear. At first, the monster unleashed its fiercest power and tore the village apart. But now an even stronger force is about to bring it down. And for our hero, who has seen too many battles like this, it's just another day in a world like this. Alpha zoomed to the front of the monster in a flash and chased it head-on, showing no fear of hiding. The monster winds up to punch the boy, but Alla slips out of the way and knocks the stunned creature flat on its face. Even on the ground, it fights back by whipping up a quick laser blast to shoot at our hero. But Alla looks at the beast with a little bit of boredom, yet he keeps pushing for it anyway. Since that's the case, our hero declares he's going to show it what true despair feels like. Once more, the hero steps forward to meet the attack without putting in much effort. The monster blasts away without stopping until it runs out of strength and finally stops firing. A tiny wisp of smoke begins to curl out of its eyes. But the real shock is that once everyone calms down, the variant sees its opponent is totally okay. And that was the hero's plan to show just how different they were. The monster looks sad it didn't get what it wanted, but now it's also furious. It screams with no care for the hero's strength and, determined to fight again, attacks in any way it can. The monster slashes with its body while firing fast blasts of power from its eyes. But the hero flips out of the way, and even while flying through the air, he dodges the blast and strikes back. Now that the way is clear, it's Alka's turn to strike. So the beast reaches out to defend himself with his arm, just like he always does. But that was its biggest blunder because the hero's blade sliced right through, severing one of the beast's most vital parts. Alla steps back, impatient to finish, and orders the monster to kneel so they can settle this quickly. This hurts the creature's pride, so it begins blasting energy beams in every direction. Yet none of those tricks work, until the hero slashes horizontally and crushes the beast with his sheer power. As soon as the monster drops to its knees, Alla leaps over it, and our hero plunges his sword straight into its eye to punish the beast for all the pain it caused the village. And just like that, the beast which seemed unbeatable only a moment ago was finally beaten. After the hero wins, the system can't take more levels because he hit the limit, so it unlocks hidden powers in his abyss armor instead, letting him swap those levels to unlock even greater strength. The next day, with the defeated rival gone, everyone worked hard to rebuild the city. You can tell they need help when one of them asks to climb up to the roof to grab some wood. The helper promised to bring it right away, but tripped over a rock, falling right until the hero stepped in from behind to save the boy. The townsfolk gaze at their savior with surprise, then quickly thank the village hero for his help. After things calm down a bit, the protagonist finally asks what this level conversion actually means. Then the system tells him that he can trade his level up for brand new epic skills from the owner. They say that epic skills are powerful tools that can help adventurers by giving them amazing abilities like moving super fast or standing strong against fire. Usually, you pick up these skills while you're still young and leveling up. But since our hero couldn't gain experience, he got none of these skills, and even though he was already at his maximum level, he didn't receive any epic skills either. Though the chance to grab it was too good to pass up, Alla couldn't stop wondering just what kind of crazy magic that Ebby armor was hiding. For the first skill the system suggests, it picks one that lets the boy leap past normal human limits. But the price is steep, giving up 240 levels, which means losing every single achievement he has earned so far. At level 250, wiping out all progress feels like a real punch to the gut. But as we look ahead, knowing how to move forward will be our most important skill. Because of this, the hero asks for the skill immediately, and the system understands the phrase "request the skill" as the command to activate it. The hero doesn't hesitate for a second and asks for a power boost that goes beyond what any normal person can do. So the conversion begins, and our hero shivers as some of his power slips away. Every glowing spark from the show fades away so brightly that people back home can see it from far off. Non-stop, a glowing energy core inside our hero pours out an even brighter light until the system beeps happily to say the payment is done and the new skill is now theirs. In this way, Alla takes great pride in how far he has climbed from his past as a corpse looter. But something even stranger happens when the hero feels like his own power has suddenly grown much bigger. Then the system tells him the owner has outgrown being human and is now something far beyond us. In this case, Allah can't help but smile at his new achievement. As he gazes up at the sky and lets his mind wander, he realizes once more just how much the world has changed. In the village entrance, a grumpy man muttered that he'd returned because he finally thought the moment had arrived. All that anger came because our hero had already beaten the monster he thought he was facing. So he knew coming there was a waste of time, but the adventurer was still curious to see if anyone out there was strong enough to take down that monster. Back to the hero, who suddenly finds the 200 points waiting for him are now moved to his armor since he broke the level limit. The protagonist remembers this because after defeating that monster, he couldn't drain its experience. Now that Allah has settled at level 210, he's still a mighty force despite the drop from the conversion. With that thought, Alka decides he should grab some rare, low-cost skills that are actually worth a lot. If he can gather enough of them, he might just become the single strongest adventurer in the whole world. In this case, the boy decides he must make a plan for what comes next. Suddenly, Leela zips over with a bright smile, jumping right at the hero and leaving him flustered as she complains that life's been a mess since she's been searching for him ever since they defeated the monster. So he quickly apologizes and explains that he was busy putting out fires the day before. But Mill came over and said the girl was truly worried about him, and it was clear she felt the same way. Our hero says he's glad both are safe, but Leela insists the boy deserves most of the credit. By the end, she felt just as thankful for the help as she was shy about receiving it. She shows her love with a simple kiss on the cheek, but she can't look Allah in the eyes afterward. For a split second after the kiss, they stared into each other's eyes, and so much was written in their silent gaze. Leela musters her bravery to admit she loves the protagonist, but then she flees in a rush of embarrassment. Alka is the one who looks absolutely stunned. But Mill takes things easy, and even the baker seems to praise his godson's success. Then Allah, feeling ticked off and embarrassed, yells at the two of them to get out. By the end, the main character couldn't even believe that anyone would care about him because of the things that happened in his past. He stood there, lost in thought, wondering what his next move should be. Then the system told him to show off his manhood to help him out, which only made Allah feel even more ashamed. A few days later, a band of adventurers walked down the road toward Rakel village. The leader knows this is where they were sent, yet since the place looks empty, he thinks they may have arrived too late. A co-worker adds that maybe a different monster struck the area too. After all, if a fiery dragon had shown up, the whole village would have vanished already. Anyway, the green-haired one insists they must go there to ask what happened, because they have to do everything they can to stop the flaming dragon from causing more disasters. So he tells everyone to keep following him. Without even a second thought, the brave heroes march right beside Leader A. At the same time, deep inside the goblin-filled cave, where everything was happening, a loud noise suddenly rang out. That's because a fearsome black dragon has suddenly appeared. Right now, far away, the hero is testing his knife-throwing skills on a herd of gentle dinosaurs, easily felling them all, while his team, the Alphas, returns to level 1 after leveling up and learning powerful new moves just in the last few days. One of those tricks is a lasting poison that he just tried out on the dinosaurs. Even though draining the hero of 200 levels made the price steep, a simple stab with a poison-coated knife was all it took to take down the little foes. By sharpening his knife skills, he can grow stronger even after losing levels, avoiding the need to face tough foes head-on. But there's a catch. It takes a few hours for the poison to slowly drain the monster's health. But with this power, he can quickly grow from a beginner, and suddenly a bright light appears as a monster dies, letting him absorb its strength to instantly upgrade his armor from level 1 all the way to 41. Allah doesn't stop there. She boosts the poison back to its strongest level. Either way, this will help him grow stronger much faster. Right now, the hero is worn out from killing about 20 monsters, but he'll be back at level 200 in just a few hours. Now that he has reached his goal, Allah turns his steps back toward the village. As soon as the boy gets there, he sees all the chaos and instantly asks what's wrong. Then, the level 120 adventurer named Ian asks the hero if they are in the same line of work. If he is, he opens the system to find it might help, only to discover the power level is too low. Because he gave up his magic to learn real skills, everyone looks down on him without ever understanding why. But Alba has felt this sting of shame before, and now it hits her again. To ease the tension, and characters suggest the boy must be new to this world of adventure. But he is shocked when the hero admits he has been doing this for years. Then the white-haired Key chimes in with a joke, thinking the boy is just playing along. But when he saw the seriousness on Alka's face, he finally understood what she meant. The man remembers hearing whispers about a man like that when faced with this. There was an adventurer known as the Corpse Scraper, a title that fit perfectly since he was the weakest of the weak. Alka doesn't deny who she is, but instead demands to know what they will do about it, making everyone feel terrified, while Ian, ready to fight, claims the guild has given him orders to take control. People say a strange monster has been seen hanging around here lately. When asked about it, he confirms that it's a black dragon named the Flaming Dragon, one that stands far above level 150. That's why everyone warned me that knocking it out will take more than just a handful of heroes. To fix the problem, everyone joined forces with top-notch heroes to take it down. So the leader tells the boy to keep cool. Since they haven't yet introduced themselves, the two shake hands and swap names. Allah is sure that if the monster is truly level 150, he could take it down by himself. But since it's a black dragon, he starts to wonder if it might be connected to the body found in the Goblin Cave. Suddenly, an adventurer sprints in shouting for the leader, and once he catches his breath, he gasps that the escort group has finally found the flaming dragon they were hunting. This small group is in even greater danger, as ordinary heroes are now feeling the sheer terror of a fiery black dragon up close. The messengers say the scout team is leading the dragon straight toward the prairie. I then announced that we'd be heading there right away and told everyone. The leader shouts to get ready for the fight, and the warriors cheer back in response to his orders. From what Alpha can see, the heroes in this team are somewhere between level 80 and 120. Even with their amazing skills and big numbers, that special group will still lose against the level 150 dragon. So the hero realizes he can't leave them and screams for the leader to take him with him. Right now, the monsters pierced by the poison knife are dying, and the hero is about to reach level 200. But since Ein is unaware of this, he refuses the request because he can't risk putting a level 1 in danger. Even so, the hero pushes forward, only to find the same judging stares springing up around him again. Laughing, we asked what a level 1 would do to help, even though he holds a strong sense of justice. This time, the white-haired man steps forward once more to speak for his beloved leader. He yells at Phil, calling him a weakling and telling him to stay out of it, just like everyone else does, which leaves Allah all alone. Even after taking a bitter hit, he knows that if he doesn't act now, innocent lives will be lost. So it's no surprise they don't take him seriously at his current level. So he had no choice but to wait and follow the group later. Even the strongest leader, who usually commands everyone, felt scared when facing that monster's huge power. In the end, those reports saying the enemy was a level 50 flame dragon were way off the mark. This is a true disaster, a dragon king who has gathered every single black dragon under its command. Standing before you is the Black Dragon King, a towering monster of level 300 known as the Flaming Destroyer. Facing that terrifying monster, the leader knows they can't fight alone, so running away is their only choice. Right now, the smart move is to call for help from the guild's reinforcements. But the dragon isn't some patient monster waiting for its foes to get stronger. Then, it flicks its tail to fling the leader off like a tiny bug. From a distance, Allah rushes toward the fighting at top speed, already scared that the battle has started. From far away, he knows it's the same dragon that lived in the Goblin Cave. Alpha couldn't believe his eyes when a monster grew back to life from its ruined state. Regardless, he moves forward, knowing it's not the time to dwell on it. Just as the monster fills its mouth with fire to unleash a deadly blow, the hero frantically asks the armor how long it takes to gain levels, and the system replies that it will need about 30 more seconds. Yet the dragon's fiery strike is already charging up and about to strike. He begged so hard for his strength to return that eventually, glowing lights appeared behind him and fused with him, proving the monsters were defeated by poison and lifting him back to level 201. But right before the monster strikes, he asks for the skill that can put out the flame. The Dragon King spits out a stream of fire that burns with all its might. Soon, a wave of power rolls toward our hero who struggles to use his new skill and saves just one person, Ian, who is amazed that the boy could stop the breath of the fiery monster. And to make matters worse, the white-haired man in terrible shape can hardly believe that a grave robber is holding out longer than he did. Finally, the hero shows everyone that he is far stronger than any of them. But sadly, he was too weak to keep them safe. So he begged for forgiveness for his blunders, and the man fell to the floor, looking like he was gone. All his rage reaches a boiling point he has never felt before, because no matter how much stronger he becomes, lives still slip right through his fingers. For those brave souls he couldn't save, the hero roared that he would crush the monster right now. The Dragon King blasts another wave of fire while shouting for the boy to move aside. But Alpa shrugs it off, steps right up, and crushes the attack between his bare hands with no trouble at all. He then says that this fireball won't work. Faced with this, he tries to figure out what's going on, and, frustrated that he can't beat the adventurer, The dragon breathes even more fire. But the hero keeps dodging every attack aimed at him with total ease. Now the flames can't hurt him, but the boy traded that safety for his power and dropped all the way back to level 21. He wonders if he can truly beat the dragon and find a way to grow stronger again. The Dragon King surges forward to slam its giant claws down on the hero, showing just how deadly a swipe from such a massive beast can be. The hero knows his body can't dodge those claws just yet. Just as he watched the road ahead, the monster's tail whipped toward him at breakneck speed. There was no way out for him, not even for the hero, until someone suddenly showed up, called it a shame, and split the dragon in two with a single blow. After slaying the monster, this person stood triumphantly over the dead body, leaving our hero shot in the foot. The hero shouts in confusion, asking who that warrior is. Then, beaming with pride, the man introduces himself as Balder, one of the few adventurers from the Calamity class on the entire continent. Allah can hardly believe his ears, admitting he's never met one like this before. They say that these brave travelers write their own stories and turn their great deeds into legendary tales. It is a life that goes beyond what humans can know, for the warrior stands tall above all they can reach. This is what it means to hold the title of a Calamity-class adventurer. Balder nods and says that the green-haired one clearly knows what he is talking about. As the hero gazes at the system, he realizes the guy is truly beyond all limits, standing at level 300. Balder was born with the power to break all limits, a trait that is the complete opposite of what the protagonist has. Anyway, he asks if the boy is there to rescue them, but the adventurer feels insulted just by the idea. He says the two misunderstood him because he only came to face a black armored adventurer who had ruined his plans. Curious about the plans, the protagonist presses for details, and the redhead begins to explain. The locals told us about a black armored hero who protected their village from a one-eyed monster. Balder thought he was facing a mighty warrior until he discovered it was just a weakling, leaving him disappointed. Suddenly, the dragon proves it isn't dead by stirring and trying to react. But the adventurer cuts through his speech to drive his sword into the beasts and silence them right then. After teaching the dragon its lesson, Balder explains that the flaming monster keeps coming back until its heart is broken, admitting he once killed it in a goblin nest, which finally helps the hero piece everything together. But the adventurer claims he didn't mean to break the core, which leaves the hero puzzled and asking why. They discovered that when the monster devoured the flesh of the flaming destroyer, its body twisted into something wild and out of control. The Dragon King is so mighty that he could wipe out a whole village in a single breath. So he figured out that a crazy, out-of-control monster would be perfect to attack the village and get killed by the village hero, which meant he could finish his plan by defeating the guilty dragon one more time. That way, he could become famous by killing it in front of a crowd instead of just doing it all alone. It is natural for me to be shocked that they say this so casually. But to get back to the complaint, Balder screams that Allah ruined everything by stepping in on his plan. Allah kept his head down and asked if the guy was really willing to risk the whole village for something so small. Then the adventurer bursts into loud laughter and declares that a calamity-ranked adventurer only wants fame, gold, and women to live life to the fullest. That declaration was exactly what the protagonist needed to make his decision. So with a terrifying expression on his face, he declared it truly absurd. The adventurer chose his own selfish wants over innocent lives, causing harm to people and letting his friends die. It all went wrong because that man was so greedy he couldn't let go. So the hero begs the Abyss armor to lend him some of its power, convinced he can finally defeat this legendary adventurer right now. Balder laughs at the speech, but gets angry because Allah dared to say he could beat him. To show he is in charge, he lets out a powerful surge of energy to prove his strength. Allah knows the guy is level 300 and realizes that charging in head-on would just get him wiped out since she's only level 21. But right behind him, there's still a chance to use the crystal from the Dragon King. If the hero shatters this crumbling core and takes on the flaming destroyer's power, there's still a chance to win. Anyway, the hero asks if there's any way to blast the core from far away. Then the system begins its search, but because it takes a few seconds, the Calamity-class adventurer pounces on the protagonist, ready to end his life. Before he can even move, the hit lands and sends both the hero and Iron flying through the air. No matter what, the hero is the one who takes the biggest hit, dragged along the ground by that crushing force. Busy finally understands the true weight of being a Calamity-class adventurer. Balder admits he missed a shot, but promises to get it right next time. At this speed, our hero looks destined to lose, yet the system has finished scanning and unlocked the micro-explosive weapon skill. This special skill can make the weapon explode, but it costs 20 points. The hero wonders what to do, since blowing up his sword won't reach the core from far away, and using his main weapon isn't a good idea. So, it makes sense that the hero starts wondering what he should do next. So the new idea is to take the same poison knife he used to get stronger and use it again. Now, Allah finally gets a plan. Balder is getting really annoyed that the hero is still standing there. He yells that a single punch will be all it takes. But right then, the hero asks for the power to unleash a tiny bomb. Logically, Balder has no idea what the boy is up to. But the hero doesn't bother with words and just grabs his knives. Then, with a surge of confidence, he declares that this move will flip the game and hurls all 3 balls straight at the target. Balder sees the blades coming at him and realizes they are deadly poison knives. He effortlessly sidesteps those who approach him, praising the hero's skill while noting it's pointless without landing a hit, which the protagonist agrees with but insists isn't a problem. In the end, those knives were just distractions for the one that went straight for the heart. Just as the monster was about to break apart, the hero shouted the command to blow up its heart, and the explosion finally sent the fiery beast crashing down, leaving him proud. Just as the monster falls dead, its entire history spills out of its body and shocks Balder. But in the end, the hero swallows those levels right up. Even though he didn't fully get it, our hero rushed right at the adventurer, and they started fighting. Balder was totally lost because he only saw the hero at level 21 just a few minutes ago. Alpha nodded that the warrior was right about the past, but now he has the strength of a level 300 adventurer. When the warrior sees this, his anger flares up because he finally gets how the hero took down that one-eyed monster. Thanks to his mysterious power, the angry warrior slammed the protagonist into the air. Then the red-haired man warned the boy not to mess with him, since one level of advantage isn't enough to beat an experienced Calamity-class adventurer like him. Balder smashes the ground beneath our hero, only to be shocked when the adventurer uses spinning momentum to land a crushing blow that causes even more destruction, while Allah screams in disbelief at the claim of having less experience and blocks the adventurer's weapon. Ready to fight, he vows that no blade fueled by greed can ever defeat him, proving it with swift slashes across the villain's body until Balder gets so angry he loses his temper. Balder glows with more power than before and praises the boy in black armor for speaking up. His anger boils over, and he just shouts at Allah to be quiet. He wakes up his powerful god ability and brings the Terran deity to life. As Balder screams in rage and unleashes his power, a massive bolt of lightning crashes down from the sky and hits him straight in the chest. Suddenly, the adventurer begins to change, his hair standing up and lightning crackling all over his skin. Alka freezes in fear while Balder can only repeat the word power over and over. Then, with a blow so fierce it shakes the ground, he declares that this is the real might of a calamity-level adventurer. In a split second, the danger closes in right on the hero, but Balder screams at the boy not to run. Once this attack lands on the hero, everything will be lost. He throws every ounce of strength he has into dodging, yet he knows how powerful the tyrant god truly is. Alikhan knows he'll have to pull out that strange thing he found while checking his skills list. It was a one-time power that could never be used again. The protagonist fires off a desperate text begging the system for power, only to have Balder launch another attack to shut him down. Just as the charge was about to strike him, a shield suddenly appeared to take the full blow, sending the boy tumbling backward onto the ground. Still, with only his last bit of strength left, Ein forces himself to stand up. He cries with regret that if he had beaten the Dragon King from the start, his friends would still be alive, so he desperately begs the hero to take revenge, and the boy agrees because he means so much. In the end, the hero asks for the power he needs. This time, he asks for the curse of the black armor, while Balder nonstop keeps his attacks coming and yells at Allah to shut up. As a huge storm is coming, the system warns that this power works only once and asks for your yes, so you say yes. With that settled, the request is confirmed and the price is 1 level plus an optional extra level. While defending himself, the protagonist tells the system to add the extra level cost. To get this power, he gives up all his 300 levels in one instant, a sudden gift that feels like it fell straight from the sky. Then Ein, who watches it all without getting a clue, shouts out to ask exactly who this main guy is. After the change, the hero goes back to being a level 1 adventurer. Balder looks on with growing curiosity to see exactly what the protagonist just did. He bursts into laughter when he checks the hero's status window and sees he's somehow fallen back to being a level 1 warrior. The adventurer decides this is all the hero can do and leaps forward, ready to send the boy to the afterlife. But he was dead wrong, since our hero planned to pull the boulder down with him. Right then, the black armor's curse wakes up. The redhead jumps in surprise as Dark, Evil power suddenly surges out from Alka's body. Suddenly, a surge of power wraps around the adventurer, holding him still in many ways. Even after only a brief moment under it, he feels his strength fading away. Then the hero shouts that this is the curse of the black armor. Every time you pay for another level, the opponent loses a level in return. Even if Boulder tries to react, nothing changes. Since the extra fee was 299 levels, that's exactly what will be taken from the adventurer. With a grave look, the hero then asks the adventurer how many levels he thinks are left. Obviously, someone as greedy as him can't accept that possibility and screams in terror, begging to be left alone. But the hero grins proudly and says it's easy now that they're both stuck at level 1. When Balder finally hit the ground after falling from the sky, he still couldn't believe that something so terrible had actually happened. He shouts out, calling for his magic window. But the moment he looked, the truth became clear. The great adventurer was back to level 1, and the boy had never been this angry before. Even at the very first level, he clenched his teeth and vowed he wouldn't lose. After all, he was still a disaster-level adventurer, and even now, he was weak. He was sure he could take on a rival just like him. That was all he thought, but in a heartbeat, the hero struck back with a perfect blow. So, the village of Rakel once sentenced a man for stealing the dead. This same man was born with no way to learn or grow stronger. But Balder didn't understand the story, so he screamed at Allah to stop playing tricks and swung his sword, forcing the hero to step back. Regardless, Allah keeps the story going, saying that guy was always a level 1. Finally, he reaches the end of the story and sighs that it is a tragedy for Balder to be the opposite of him. In the end, the corpse looter, who was the main character, fought better than anyone else in the world, even at level 1. Without his arm, the adventurer's wound begins to bleed uncontrollably. Yet, still caught in the spell of a god's power, Balder stands firm with his sword raised, shouting that he is not lost. For our hero, that's all it takes to know the fight is over. Even in this moment, Balder is too proud to retreat, so he charges the boy from behind, screaming with pure rage. This makes the hero hate the warrior's attitude so much that he can't even keep his cool anymore. Allah quickly takes the warrior's weapon and, since the man keeps charging, slashes several deep cuts across his body. So the adventurer charges right in and finally falls to the ground, beaten and out of breath. Just a few seconds later, Ian, still on his feet, walks over to have a chat. He thanks our hero from the bottom of his heart for bringing revenge to his friends. But the hero just smiled and said, "You don't need to thank me." In the end, he held a grudge and would have fought him no matter what. Plus, Alka gets serious again because it looks like the trouble isn't over. Using his very last bit of strength, Balder screams at the boy wearing black armor. In this state, he admits that he has lost his arm and the special powers he once had as a Calamity-class adventurer. Even though he didn't like it, he warned that someone just as strong would soon find out the truth. If he vanishes without a trace, his friends from the Calamity class will scramble to find out what happened. In the end, they remain a bunch of very difficult people to understand. But Boulder warns that someone else will take his place soon, and the story will end for the protagonist. Alka then says that anyone with the Calamity title who wants to challenge him will first have to beat everyone else he's met. Then Boulder chuckles, wishing the hero wouldn't lose that spark of confidence. At this very moment, with too much blood already lost, something begins to glow as the adventurer says his final goodbye. Ein yells that it's a teleportation item, so our hero sprints as fast as he can to stop him from running away. But Balder warns the boy that if he doesn't die alone this time, they will meet again, and next time, the boy will be the one to defeat him. Before the hero could even get close, the adventurer vanishes and is suddenly whisked far up into the sky. In the end, he finally got away, and Ong cried out to ask what to do now that he might strike back. The hero can just walk away, because even if he returns, Allah is sure he won't win, and that quiet confidence is enough to calm Ein down. No matter what else happened, the hard truth remains that many people lost their lives that day. Ein says he has to tell his home city about everything that happened. Then suddenly, the protagonist apologizes, surprising the adventurer to ask a favor and needs the boy to listen. The adventurer naturally asks if Allah is certain about what he wants. But he tells us he has made up his mind. So the two were happy because our hero was finally ready to leave the village. Just a moment ago, when the hero asked for a favor, Ein was puzzled, wondering what someone so powerful could possibly want. It was a big surprise to find out he actually wanted to be taken to a different city. Honestly, the hero wished he could keep being an adventurer right here in the village. But since that happened, the disaster-watching adventurers are now keeping their eyes on him. Alkid is scared that Boulder might show up again, so he doesn't want his hometown to get caught up in it once more. It was because he truly understood what this choice meant that the green-haired boy decided to go through with it. With the fire monster defeated, Ein holds up a necklace featuring a glowing stone that lets them speak to each other from far away. It was a call sent out to ask for brave heroes to clean up the mess. Even after the boy is gone, the warriors will guard the village to keep it safe for a while. So, Alka is really thankful. As the two stroll through the city, Mel watches from afar, then dashes over in a flash of worry. Just as the two of them arrive, they find themselves at the uncle's bakery. For some reason, the place is shut and the old man isn't there. Iman wonders if the hero has anyone to say goodbye to, and Allah says yes. So, the green-haired one suggests they wait and leave another day. But Allah still chooses to walk away, knowing that saying goodbye would be too hard if he ever ran into those people again. It wasn't just his uncle who was involved, but Mil and Leela as well. In the end, the hero refuses to let anyone say goodbye, because getting involved with him would only break their hearts. So the two adventurers finally reach the city gates. Before he goes, Ein warns that once he leaves, it won't be easy to ever return. The hero is so sure of himself that he can walk away without a second glance. But right as he was about to go, his uncle, the man who raised him, called out his name. Even right then, the old man told the boy not to be sad about leaving. He overheard that the boy was getting ready for a trip, so he decided to bake some bread for him. So the uncle gives it to her, and Alka begs for forgiveness for leaving the village without telling anyone. Once more, the old man urges our hero to wear a bright, joyful smile. After all, he is certain there's a good reason for him to leave this place. In truth, the old man has been watching the hero's journey from the very start. So he just wants to see one smile on the boy's face, and once the message lands, Alka beams and waves a loving goodbye. Ein says the old man was a good person, and by the time they were a few minutes past the village, the hero agreed. Then he broke off a piece of bread and ate it in silence, which made Ein ask curiously if it tasted good. So Alka said it was delicious, and both of them felt happy. No matter what, Ein says he's heading to Daramu, the southern capital where his guild is based. So, just as the two were about to reach the city, Mel filled Leela in on everything that had gone down. But was already too late, for Alka had left Reiko behind. Near Daramu, a band of goblins led by a level 5 goblin jumps out to attack a wagon. Ein suddenly panics and tries his hardest to save the market wagon from the attack. Then Alka asks,